for the Kog'Maw, and they don't have to worry about a champion like Maokai, who kind of outscales damage in a lot of cases if he gets enough tank items and then has the value from his ultimate. So there's not really a replacement for Maokai. That's why the ban, I think, is going to be really powerful now. They had a two-man frontline. One part of that frontline was the Rek'Sai, and SKT will take it again.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and snatch that up despite the Gragas being available for them to get on their first rotation. So looks like Plank said, you know what? I did get on Rek'Sai. Let's go ahead and run it again. And Faker is going to be saying the same thing with Malzahar in mid.
What will KT want to do? How much change will there be on the other 4 picks on the side of KT compared to what they drafted in Game 1? Will we see the return of the Aurelion Sol and Echo? The Echo is quite likely, worth knowing that Game 1 was, of course, Sunday's first competitive loss on Echo. He is now 8-1 on that champion lifetime.
Still got a pretty good score line to go off of, but definitely besmirched after that loss in Game 1. So it looks like they are going to be revisiting this pick. Have a long hover over it. It looks like it could just be Gragas yet again. So far, Sivir going to be the only plug-and-play tool coming in. KT, they're just going to keep it going.
Interesting that they would grab the Gragas early here when the jungler already been taken by SKT, and we could have seen that Karma with the Echo instead. It's going to be waiting it out, and we have seen, of course, Someday struggle in that Gnar versus Echo lane matchup. He died twice to Cuvee in solo kills against Samsung with his flash and ultimate up both times. Hopefully that will not be happening again.
Yeah, I mean, comparing Cuvee to Duke, some differences there as far as the players go, so you can be damn sure that Duke would be able to take a hold of that matchup in the 1v1 with this Gnar. Looks like SKT may very well just be going for this, so there'll be another engage tool coming through, as well as the Ashe for Bang if they want to lock that one up. But looks like they're tooling around with the idea of the Kog'Maw themselves, and with the clock ticking down, it's going to be locked in.
I had a feeling that the Kog'Maw will be coming through from SKT. I thought it would be a bit more Juggernaut-esque, because of course Faker has been on utility mages for the better part of the LCK history since the start of the 2015 season, but could just draft the likes of the Tahm Kench or the Braum as a last pick to give that Kog'Maw a bit of protection, and could have gone for the Ashe for engage, but they're definitely now peeling back with part of this comp.
Looks like from mid now, thinking about the Varus or Faker in mid.
So Varus has been the answer to Juggernaut comps and a lot of the Kog'Maw comps, just because his range is so sheer, and if you go for a poke comp, the enemy has to initiate. Now there is Gnar already on the side of SKT, but Kog'Maw does so much damage kiting back that's kind of lost going forward, especially against a poke comp that has the ability to disengage. And you know, you think of the Gragas ultimate as an engage tool, well guess what? It's even more reliable as a disengage tool.
Ready to lock it up with a Taric, so Hachani, first one to bring that out since the rework into LCK, goes back to that, and now Wolf getting his last pick. See the Tahm Kench right there. Wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if that gets picked up.
It's either Karma in my mind, or it's going to be the Tahm Kench here for Wolf, just because you need something that's going to provide a little bit more mobility and or protection for the Kog'Maw, because basically Malzahar, Rek'Sai, and Gnar are all going in onto the enemy team. So your peel options are not the best unless you have a little bit more movement speed. And Karma, because of the changes on 615, you have to get more points into your shield to actually give that 60% movement speed boost. And in a support role, you're not going to get the levels as fast to be able to do that. So it's just not, I think, as good as it was as a support pick any longer.
But with the need to engage for SKT, is Tahm Kench actually going to be devouring the Kog'Maw, or is he just going to be abyssal voyaging into the backline with a Rek'Sai? Because at the end of the day, Kog'Maw is going to be outranged by the ability of Sivir to pop the ultimate, everyone to disengage backwards, cast comes down. Kog'Maw is going to be just not be able to track into fights with range, so really intriguing to see. The Alistar would have been the true engage tool, but they've kind of straddled the line with the Tahm Kench.
See Blank in a bit of a pep talk there from Coma. Definitely giving him some encouraging words after a shaky start to Game 1. We're able to bring that one back, but still need to clear his head, make sure that he comes into this game nice and focused so that he doesn't give up those early advantages over to KT yet again. But now with his side, KT coming in with the Varus, with the Sivir. The Echo Gragas not going to be doing a whole lot of AP damage, so it's going to be lacking on the side of KT Rolster.
I think they're going to be doing okay AP damage. We'll see. Someday does tend to build you know, the Trinity Force, so some more physical damage at least right there too coming through. But in any case, we'll see what Fly can do on the Varus. He's only had 3 games this season on Varus, so it's not like this has been a major pickup for KT.
All right, here we go yet again. Gonna be an Infernal Drake starting us off. And the SKT fans woke up for sure. KT still present, but you can tell that there's a bit of a bolstering that went in for the SKTelecom fans since the start of that game 1. So going to be feeling a lot more confident after seeing that turnaround performance.
Well, the KT fans have felt this feeling before. Against SKTelecom, they are now SKT are now 21-5 against KT since the start of LCK Spring 2015.
Got a lot to overcome, that's for sure. What a great picture of SKT. Yeah, Wolf.
Pro tier.
That does remind me a lot of how Wolf takes pictures.
The nails aren't really there, though.
Very accurate likeness.
You need those longer nails coming out to really seal the deal, so I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
KT, much more defensive start. Remember, they did go for that deep invade onto the Krugs of SKT. That was the same. We are once again with KT on both sides of Chani.
Yeah, Johnny walking in is going to find Wolf and Bang. Says, okay, you know what? I just got turned around, wrong area, didn't want to be here, guys. I'll be able to walk back out. They are able to trade a little bit of damage onto Bang with that boomerang, so KT actually not going to be pained as they come into that 2v2 matchup with bottom.
Well, I'm going to have to be really careful this game against the Malzahar Rek'Sai combination. Opting for the heal. It's going to be a very careful game of distances as Faker is going to try and flash on top of him, post 6. See how that goes for Fly, but if they can set up the siege, the wave clear very good for KT here between the Sivir and the Varus. If they can set up some nice sieges, they may be able just to win off of turret gold.
I mean, team fight wise, they have damage, but certainly they don't have a lot of lockdown outside the Dazzle. We have seen Hachani and Someday link up very well with this Echo Taric, and the Bastion Dazzle link comes through, but team fighting a lot harder for KT to actually get the win with. They really need to snowball in the mid game with the turret gold, as you were suggesting.
It was actually clever by Hachani. He matched Wolf's roam right there just to take out his ward, anticipating that he was going to be walking around trying to get some vision into the river.
We'll get that.
To eliminate that.
Scuttle Crab over to Blank. And Score is just going to be working through the jungle, so not going to be seeing any invasive plays coming out yet. Victor is going to be handed over that blue buff, or Blank's going to take it for himself. Looks like it. Maybe the latter is Faker still hovering around the mid. So he'll be able to go claim that blue for himself, which I'm sure he would love to have early on, but either way, he's going to be all right. He's just trying to stay up in CS as much as he can, as Fly is inching above him with the 6 CS lead.
Both teams would surely love an Infernal Drake, which is the first spawn of this game.
Yeah, KT probably wanted to get that this time around after what happened in game 1, so be pretty sure that they're going to really take the preventative measures to make sure SKTelecom can't get it there and sneak it away from them yet again.
A lot on Score to set up the defensive vision for Fly. They can keep pink wards down on both the left and right side of mid lane, then the closer and closer Fly gets to level 9, the happier he'll be when he's able to actually push waves without having to invest in auto attacks. Level 6 against Ghost Flash Malzahar, there'll be a lot of pressure as Blank meets Score.
Hello, yeah, he's going to get a hell of a lot of damage down too. Score's going to go back in, has the body slam in the barrel there. Fire back piercing arrow, Fly's not going to connect. Blank's able to tunnel out of there, will hold on to the flash, but it's definitely going to be a bit brutal for the Rek'Sai. Faker, he knows where Score is. He's just going to play back, keep himself safe. Not going to be falling for these little tricks. Oh, boy. Okay.
Okay.
Should be able to do it. Oh, never mind. Has to let it reset, but he stays alive.
Well, so that could have been very embarrassing.
Yeah. That probably would have tilted him more than getting killed twice in the first 10 minutes of game 1.
That all happened because Faker was very low on mana. He just used his last bit on the screen as we speak, so wasn't able to react to the pressure coming through from the Gragas and Varus. So good situational awareness from Score.
Yeah, actually, in this matchup so far, Fly really getting the better end of it. He's done a great job of zoning Faker off a lot of CS. Big lead in the early part of the laning phase.
Also, one of the key things for Malzahar is to get a very early lost chapter to get the 20% mana regen upon level up. When you don't have that, you know, if you don't get the Malefic Visions getting the maximum amount of mana back, you can really lose out. And you don't want to opt into auto-attack trades against Avaris, so it's been good laning phase for Fly so far. He was about 30 CS behind consistently in game 1.
Yeah, we see the roam up here from Wolf is catching the wave to make sure that Faker will be able to farm this, but Scorehand and Johnny are just going to push in, but not going to be able to get too much accomplished.
You can see just how good these teams are at minion wave control because they are preempting it. Faker calling his teammate up while Arrow was out of lane, so Wolf for freeze, but at the same time, Score and Hachani also called into the mid lane to prevent that from happening, so every little thing taken into account by KT and SKT here.
What separates these two teams from Samsung, who have a lot of high-level League of Legends down, but that was one thing that was really conspicuous in the best of 5 between KT and Samsung 2 days ago, was that Samsung were just losing that extra 50 CS over the first 20 minutes that KT were always able to rotate and pick up.
A couple things that Samsung did significantly worse than KT in that series. Bang, gonna move forward, gets a bit of damage in, started with the recurve bow.
Make a 6.
So be able to fire off. Yeah, that big ward will spot them out. It looks like Johnny and Arrow are able to back off in time, but this could be a big opening on that tower here for SKTelecom. Getting that first brick gold is quite nice for them.
It's also the wave denial. That was a huge wave that they just pushed into the turret and zoned them off, so nice opportunity there for SKTelecom to play around the minion waves a little bit further. Faker going to be blocking that piercing arrow with his passive.
That time, Blank's pathing was just superior to that of Score. Score was sitting in the river brush at top lane, not zoning, not ganking, not really achieving much, whereas Blank lost about a wave and a half KT's minions to them, so that was much more successful a roam for the side of SKT.
Yeah, that's going to be extra punishing onto Arrow because he has that call. Wants to stack that up as fast as he possibly can to get that payout. So getting denied that pretty significant amount of CS, now 8 behind Bang. It's going to be hurting him in more ways than one. He get really good damage in onto the tower. Not able to find the kill yet, but SKTelecom still going to be in a better spot to get that first brick gold.
Guess what? Sunday hasn't died in laning phase to the Gnar yet, so that's an improvement.
He's even winning in terms of CS.
Achievement unlocked.
Duke opting for the double Doran's Blade for just that extra amount of punishment in the early game. Someday going to forego the Dark Seal this game and pick up.
Going for this yet again. Arrow going to get exhausted out. The dazzle comes through from Johnny. Will lock up Wolf. Nice spell shield to block the artillery there. But Blank and Faker, they're coming around the backside. Johnny and Arrow just now going to spot him. Braceseeker's going to get blocked by the minion. Arrow flashes away, trying to create some distance with the flash forward from Blank. He's taking up the tower. Devour's there from Wolf to keep him safe. Now the Nethergrass onto Johnny. They'll find it. Faker's going to flash away. Just gets out of range of the tower in time. The piercing arrow not going to connect. They find the corrupting arrow on to Bang.
There it is.
They take him down. Spoke too soon, guys. You cursed him. Someday get solo killed out by Duke at the top. Overall, that's going to be 3 kills picked up globally for SKTelecom. Just the one answering onto the Cogmaw for KT.
Yeah, they are going to have to go back right now. Score and Fly still very healthy. They're going to be tricky. Score walking around. They do see him with the Tremor sense, even as the wards are taken out. So SKT actually wastes a little bit of time right there. Faker going to be a bit delayed when it comes to getting back into lane. But I mean, right here, actually, this is misplayed because Hachani flashes next to Arrow behind the turret. So it's a really easy knock up there to start things off. And then what happened in the top side was just Duke flashing. Something actually had his ult on cooldown and used the flash first, so Duke with a nice all-in.
How eerily similar is this to game 1, but actually with the teams reversed. It was KT getting a couple of kills in bot lane and getting a cross-map solo kill. That was actually from a gank, but still a cross-map kill on the top lane that really opened up their lead, and now it's SKT, conversely in game 2, taking the wins in both lanes.
Poor Someday, you guys just had to bring it up.
So I was complimenting him. I was like, within 2
minutes, he heard you, and he was just like, oh, okay, and he just like walked up towards the tower.
To his credit, he used his summon as an ult, so he's got that going.
That's true. He tried to avoid it, but
and it's only once so far this game that he's died.
All right,
in a solo kill.
There's still time.
We'll start a tally, so that's 1.
All right, well, Fly has gone. I was wondering how he was going to play this matchup. He has gone pure QSS. Well, that answers my question of what happens post 6 when he's really scared of Faker flashing on top of him.
Well, he's not going to have
now
damage for quite some time.
he's still going to be very brittle, so there's still a world where he dies.
Oh, Missile Voyage coming through into the mid lane, trying to get on top of Fly. Silence comes through. It's not actually going to connect. He does juke that out very slightly. He'll take a bit of damage. Now Score pushing in, does have that explosive cask available. It looks like he wants to go for it. Duke, he's going for the second kill though. The parallel convergence will clip him. He gets locked up. Meanwhile, back in mid, the Valor coming through. Nethergrasp onto Score, working him down. The Malefic Vision's ticking away. Looks like he will be safe. So not going to fall. Somebody almost gets solo killed in the end, but several members of KT narrowly avoiding death as SKTelecom just keeps turning on the pressure.
And KT having to have Sivir in lane against Wits and Kog'Maw at 10 minutes is disaster. Every time Kog'Maw can push up, activate W, trying to CS under turret and taking significant trade damage. It's really hurting the CS of Arrow. He's 13 behind, and that lead will only grow for Bang.
Yeah, the Cole too. I mean, pretty much no useful items for Arrow at the moment, and it's a one-on-one Kog'Maw. Basically nothing you can do as Arrow awkwardly sort of runs around underneath his turret and tries to wave through where he can. So everything looking good for SKT here. Game number 2 of this series.
Now I gotta find Blank, so he won't be able to take away those Raptors. The score is coming down, but Turtle Drake still untouched by either side. SKT definitely in the more advantageous position to try to make that play happen. Score is gonna walk in. They take a hell of a lot of damage. Goes back in with the body slam. They might try to collapse down. Fly is on the way, but Score's just too damn low, and Wolf is on the rope, so he has to back off.
Blank's been excellent this game.
Yep.
He was good in game 1 after the massive hiccups early. But he's been excellent in game 2. His pathing has been so much superior to Score, who has been the best performing jungler this season next to Peanut.
I mean, SKT as a whole in this game are looking a lot better compared to the start of last. I mean, the wraparounds consistently pushing Arrow and Hajani out of this bottom lane. It's really good. They will finally be able to get that first tower. You can see big burst of gold comes through. They're going to be 2K up, and they're going to be looking for an Infernal Drake as well.
Every map movement from Blank has done something. It's denied waves, gotten ganks, it's punished the enemy jungler, where Score has been camping brushes and just failing to make things happen apart from the one kill involvement, and that Infernal Drake is going to go to SKTelecom.
Yeah, and even that kill involvement was coming from the fact that he was late to the bottom side of the map. He was responding to something rather than making a proactive play.
Everyone's mid.
Looking for a play on the Faker. Does have the flash of the Ghost available. The Dazzle, of course, going to be cleansed off by the passive. They are able to knock him into the wall, but they can't get him back towards the Gragas. So Faker, they'll be able to make it out alive. Doesn't even have to pump the flash.
Yeah, I'm surprised Score didn't commit with a flash right there. Just a little bit harder, but without knowing where the Kog'Maw was on the map, can be a bit dangerous. So does at least just get a summoner out in exchange for an explosive cask. Not going to be a good trade there for SKT, but they're still quite happy with the way this game is playing out. Starting to move lanes around a little bit. Bang now reassigned into mid and easily clears that. At KT, the Drake control is really hurting him in this series so far.
Oh boy, a Missile Voyage coming through from Wolf and Bang. Exhaust straight in onto the Sivir. They will get the Dazzle, but he's taking so much damage as that Spell Shield coming through from the Terran trying to keep him alive. But Blank is here yet again. TP going to be coming down from Someday, matched by Duke. Might just have to cancel this one out now. Hajani going to be on the run. They will cancel both of those teleports from the top lane. Blank still pushing forward. Not going to be able to find any other kills, but yet again, SKTelecom just keep gaining ground.
Yeah, their coordination is spectacular on these ganks, using that Abyssal Voyage properly, and then Blank covering the other angle. So they just waited for that flash to be used, and it was inflicting maximum punishment because they got all the summoners out and got the kill just because they were able to control the angle of escape that Arrow had.
Guys, I think we've misunderstood the nerves issue that Blank goes through. It's actually the normal games that seem to make him nervous because he's getting closer and closer to being someone you describe as a clutch player. Because when you think of the finals, when you think of the elimination matches, Blank has consistently performed.
Yeah, and it's always the question, too. When he gets into one of these big matches, of course, he's had to go against Pina, who we thought last season was a significantly better jungler, and he outperformed Peanut in that finals. We saw the MSI playoff run where Blank really stepped up his game, and Score, who has been the picture of jungle consistency this season, is having a lot of problems, at least in game number 2.
Maybe it's like he needs like a minimum amount of people in the audience watching him to be able to perform. Otherwise, he just can't do it.
Yes, sir. It's a weird performance anxiety, but Blank is kind of been an anachronism in that way, and that every time you think he's going to be a problem, he's not as Arrow.
Yeah, Bang coming in, Spell Shield will absorb that ultimate. Hachani zips his way down here, but not going to be able to get in range to try to capitalize on Bang and turn that one around. So Arrow just going to take some damage, has to pop the ultimate.
Well, KT have to work some magic in this one. Down in gold, down in the Infernal Drake, and they just didn't have the items to even fight that Infernal Drake early. It was tier QSS on the mid, and then Colin, Cadrill's Warhammer coming through from Arrow, or Caulfield's Warhammer, excuse me.
Cadrill's. I mean, you just made up a new item.
Yeah, nice.
All right, we'll patent it, we'll copyright it. Doesn't get taken away. Be a bit of a scuffle there. Blank makes it out. We'll have the better of that. SKTelecom with this lead. Mountain Drake going to be the second one coming up. So no, 3 Infernals in a row, but a Mountain will be still just as nice for SKTelecom to pick up. They'll be in a good position to go ahead and net that for themselves. SKT just haven't been able to move to that side of the river. You can see Blankins has a smattering of tunnel systems worked up in that lower side of the river, so he can just zip his way around constantly.
At some point, we have to go back to the regular season for KT Rolster, go back to the big run for KT Rolster and be like, okay, so what worked for this team? And what worked was getting Someday ahead. They did it mostly in lane swaps. They did it mostly by allowing other objectives like Drake's to go down to really allow Someday to get a lead. And sometimes that's just because it's Someday versus Cuvée and it's just an out-skill matchup. Duke is a fantastic laner, one of the best in the world. It's standard lane, so it's so much harder to snowball a big lead without the cost being another lane falling way behind. And now we're going to have a second game where Someday and Duke are even. And KT doesn't really seem to know how to actually take the game from here.
I mean, we haven't seen Score come to this top side at all.
This is what happened last year when Someday won the regular season MVP in Summer, despite the fact that Score almost never visited his lane. And I kind of wondered, I was like, okay, you know this guy's your MVP, you know this guy's your carry, game for his lane, and Score kind of refused to do so. The standard lanes meta being reinforced seems to have just reinforced that point, and Someday's doing fine, he's doing equitable, but that's not when KT wins, when Someday is going even with his opponent.
I mean, hasn't gotten solo kills yet again, but that Frozen Mallet from Duke is still going to do some work as far as harassing out the Echo and keeping him at bay. See, Someday does have that Trinity Force completed, so didn't opt to go for something like the Iceborne Gauntlet, but needs to start getting tanky for these fights.
SKT are not predicting a fight here.
Yeah, the dude is fine the wards now, but Arrow's still really far away. Looks like they might just peel off of this. It's too high risk, low reward. So they'll let that Rift Herald stand. It's going to give Fly a little bit of an opening onto this mid-tier 1. Likely won't be able to take the tower, but actually can get damn well close. Yeah, now Arrow and Hachani arriving. They're going to be able to force up for this.
It was a clever play by SKT as they fell in back into the top side, because that meant that Someday couldn't get close to that turret, which had already been chipped out by Duke, but they do trade it for the mid as a result.
It'll be a nice opening up on the map here for KT as this Dragon gets ready to spawn in the next couple seconds here.
Bemoan the window in game 1 when QSS delay meant that 2-item Cogmore wasn't online for past the 20-minute mark. It's certainly online here. The Malefic Vision's bouncing around. It's going to be doing insane damage with no magic resist completed.
Yeah,
They're going for a kill.
Coming through, flash forward in for the Dazzle onto Faker. Scores here as well to try to follow up, and now Wolf arriving in time will get the Devourer onto Faker to save his life. For the time being, spits him back in. Faker not really in range to get much done. And then the Grass Master coming on to Hachani to get the pop-up from Blank as well, and they're going to find a kill. So KT trying to get a pick on the Faker, but the arrival from Wolf is just too much.
Just not enough damage to kill him in the chain CC window that they had. Then they got caught out. Abyssal Voyage, or Wolf able to get up there and get into the fight in conjunction with Duke having to use the teleport, and Someday was already chunked out, low, couldn't commit to a TP, and KT looking a little bit desperate when it comes to making these plays because the communication wasn't there. Someday, if he was not in a place where he could TP effectively, they should never have started that play in the first place.
It seemed like, I mean, if Score had arrived in time, they probably would have been able to have that kill, but he just wasn't in range for the explosive cast. Speaking of which, he uses that right there. Gets some damage down onto Duke, but Faker is waiting in the wings as well. not going to be able to find a whole lot of anything as KT, and a Mountain Drake goes over to SKTelecom.
To Monty's first point, you have to play to the items you have built. If you've gone for safety first, don't look for a pick. You don't have the damage to do so. Now, KT at least used the tools they had smartly. Before they face checked to follow the flashing Faker, they popped the Cosmic Radiance early to at least make the face check that much safer. But the item discrepancy is what really cost them. This is the perfect setup for a pick. They layer everything correctly. They actually wait out the CC duration. If they had an extra Hex Drinker, if they had any more damage, Faker would have been low enough that sure, you face check and get the kill. But Tom Kench is in position. The Cosmic Radiance runs out, and so does KT's luck. Yeah,
Blank also with another good follow-up engage as they turn that fight on its head. Johnny just didn't have any tools left to effectively escape that because he had to use his flash offensively to chain the Chain of Corruption into the Dazzle. So no luck there for KT. They weren't set up. Duke with the faster teleport. And Someday has a chance now to maybe make a play, but how is it going to turn into an objective? The Mountain Drake is already gone.
One of the most fascinating things about this series is that SKT have chosen to play on red side. Not something we would have expected. Blue side was prioritized by KT, both in their last series and in this one. SKT have just gotten information.
Score getting pitched on. Jump forward from Duke is enough for Score to go ahead and hold the flash, so he will keep himself safe, but no flash body slams. Going to be coming through. Blank waiting in the Raptor pit, maybe looking for a dive under that tower. Going to think better of it. Will zip his way in, but now SKTelecom moving back up this river. Have an immense amount of pressure, so they can get some nice priority vision in around this Baron pit.
And what red side allows you to do is to scope out what the enemy wants to do and respond to it. And just like we've always typified SKT as a team to wait for a patch to settle, watch VODs of other teams, and perfect strategies other teams innovated. Being on the red side multiple games in a row, wait for KT to tip their hand, and then make your adaptations. And speaking of adaptations,
yeah, that is just going to be the tunnel in. Missile Voyage coming through.
They can't even get close to it.
Wolf.
No, he can't. Duke and his Darbar's in the perfect place.
Yeah, he's going to get jumped on. Takes a hell of a lot of damage, but a three-man stun coming through on the wall. Fly now arriving. The Baron going low down to 1,500. Can they find it? It's going to be confirmed by Blank, so no steal coming through from KT Rolster. The Devour in on a score, spits him out into the middle of SKTelecom. He tries to get a kill on a Faker, but can't do it. That's 2 kills picked up already for SKT.
I mean, Someday goes in, but he gets just destroyed. All he has is a Trinity Force and a QSS right now as he tries to get into the pit to do something, but just popped instantly. Didn't even have a chance to use the Chrono Break, and KT just getting desperate, seeing how low that Baron was. But what a great play from SKTelecom, using the Tom Kench to get the Kog'Maw over the back wall. Kog'Maw just stands there while the Rek'Sai tanks it, and Duke, Narbar, perfect placed to make the, just to run interference, gets the Great Gnar off, and now SKTelecom running away with this game.
I mean, could the setup have been any more immaculate? Used every tool they had efficiently. Duke gets a 3-man Gnar that in a different game just wins you and gets you a wombo engage, but it's a wombo denial, as Someday is the only man to get in to try and contest the Baron. Dies instantly, like you mentioned. His item build's not for team fighting.
Yeah.
And KT, they were punished a moment ago for looking for an aggressive pick without the damage. Unfortunately, team fighting, the safety first item build doesn't help you there either.
Yeah, Bang and Faker just blowing him up, and Blank not missing the smite on the Baron. And now we have pretty much the biggest lead that we've had in the series so far. It's going to be about 8,000 gold for SKTelecom.
Should we be surprised, guys? Should we be surprised? I mean, all of us sat down. If we had it longer on camera, we had some KT flags to show. Every analyst I spoke to around today said KT would win, and with the evidence that you had, how could you not bet on KT?
I mean, those games that SKTelecom played a week ago against Longzhu were terrible. Yeah. They looked awful in those games.
But we keep having the recency effect of their recent form's not great, and we keep ignoring the fact that they have just persisted. They have always stuck to their guns. They have always come back when they needed to, and it's the SKTelecom class coming through again.
I mean, it is. This team is remarkable in that way, right? That even when they've had their lows, when it really mattered, when push came to shove, they have always come through. Ever since, hey, that's it, really.
One time, MSI fine.
Okay, that was first off, that was a 5th game scenario. It wasn't, it was still very, very close.
But that's literally the only blemish on otherwise immaculate history for SKTelecom. And 3-1 KT was kind of the prevailing sentiment, but there was always that little voice in my head that said 3-0 SKT without any real reason to think so.
Here comes Duke, gets the pushback, will have Johnny into the wall and flies going low, throws out the chain of corruption the wrong way. Looks like he might live in the end, but the Malefic Visions could very well take him down. Someday goes in deep, has to use the snapback to keep himself alive. Looks like he will make it out with his life, but the tier 2 goes down in favor of SKTelecom. They can just keep pushing forward and look for more. Still have that Baron buff on them, and that turret is going to go down very quickly with that Infernal and Mountain Tree.
This is huge for SKT because
As over-committing, the barrel conversion's not going to connect. Score already taking a hell of a lot of damage. Blank goes for it, gets the unfurrow, knocks him up and takes him down. A swift 3 kills, make that 4. Let's make it 5, screw it. Let's go the distance, says SKT. They will find an ace, they're going to find an inhibitor, and they're going to find probably the end of the game. It's only 25 minutes in, but they got Baron minions, several healthy members, including Bang, and that's going to be it. 2-0 up for SKT in this best of 5.
How many times have we seen this in a best of series from SKTelecom? The first game is close, and every game after that gets less close and less close and less close for their opponents. And it looks like they're doing again 25-minute win. Unbelievable that they were able to bounce back this quickly.
And I think that really does show up to scrutiny that the first game draft was very much the old SKTK special. Give them all their comfort, beat them with it, and then just take down what is a decimated team, both in confidence as you look at someday on your screen.